Noon. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you here today. Today, some of you may think that we are announcing officially the GUC SU 2014 representative. But no, today is history coming true. Today is a historical day in the history of the GUC. Today is the first time that we announce an SU that is elected, is organized, and everyone here in the GUC is agreeing upon. Today is announcing the SU where we have professional candidates. Today is when we announce that we have a strong SU. We have an SU that will represent each and every one of us. I'd like to start by that we have reached 4,000 votes. That 4,000 GUC students has been going to the elections. That 4,000 GUC students knew that it is our right to vote, that it is our right to have people that will actually represent us. We, the SU organizing team, have been working for the past 5 weeks. We have been up for 25 continuous hours in order to count the votes. We have been skipping tutorials, we have been skipping lectures, we have been working before midterms, after midterms, before quizzes, after quizzes, because we believe in one cause. We believe that we can speak up for a change. We believe that we will see the difference this year. النهارده احنا اخيرا هنقدر نقول ان احنا لينا اتحاد طلبه. النهارده اخيرا هنقدر نقول ان الجي يو سي فيها ناس فعلا هتمثلنا. النهارده احنا هنقول ان دي اول مره نحط فاونديشن لانتخابات تتنظم صح، لفرز يتنظم صح، لناس تيجي تمثلنا صح، لكامبينز، لكانديديتس. شفنا منهم بروفيشنال بيبل، شفنا منهم بروفيشنال اجندز، شفنا منهم ناس فعلا تستاهل ان هم يمثلونا. Okay, so to start off, هنبدأ ب EMS, Engineering Material Science. The first committee will be Culture, Arts and Political Awareness. The first candidate is Mustafa Mahmoud Habib. 676 votes. The second candidate, Marwa Sayyid Ali, 643 votes. The third candidate, Muhammad Amin Al-Atli, 608 votes. Moving on to the second committee of EMS, Planning and Resources. Hana Abdul Salam Abu Al-Ain, 543 votes. The second candidate, Ahmad Muhammad Al-Miteri, 433 votes. The third candidate, Rawan Amr Al-Sayyid, 388 votes. Moving on to Public and Environmental Services, for this faculty there will be a re-elections. For this committee there will be re-elections because 2 of the candidates have been tied. They had the same vote, so the re-elections for this committee would be on Sunday and Monday. So moving on to the third committee, Scientific and Technological Activities. The first candidate would be Tarek Al-Ashkar. The second candidate would be Bishoy Naguib Iskandar, 419 votes, and for Ruqayya would be 419 votes. For Bishoy would be 393 votes. The third candidate would be Ammar Abdul Jabir Ali, 343 votes. So we move on to the Sports Committee. The first candidate would be Hisham Hatem Helmi, 494 votes. The second candidate would be Karim Hisham Abdelal, 479 votes. The third candidate would be Mahmoud Muhammad Saeed, 356 votes. Moving on to tips and social activities. The first candidate, Nihal Ashraf Al-Zayat, 451 votes. The second would be Rana Osama Mahrouz, 416 votes. The third candidate would be Reem Ashraf Sulaiman, 391 votes. We move on to the Senates of EMS. The first Senate would be Karim Nagib, 500 votes. The second Senate would be Yara Mahmoud Saleh, 479 votes. Finally, we move on to the Treasurer and the President of EMS. I'll start by the Treasurer. The Treasurer would be Muhammad Ahmad al-Din Hamdi, 494 votes. And finally, the President of EMS. It has been intense in EMS. The difference between the votes is exactly around 30 votes. The President of EMS would be Yusuf Taha Al-Dambouli. Moving on to IET. The first candidate of the Committee of Culture, Arts and Political Awareness, Mustafa Mahmoud Al-Sheikh, 167 votes. The second candidate, Hassan Amr Nassar, 160 votes. Moving on to planning and resources. The first candidate would be Muhammad Atif Shahada, 203 votes. Secondly would be Yusuf Omar Niaz, 128 votes. Moving on to public and environmental services. The first candidate would be Karim Ahmad Nagib, 157 votes. The second would be Ahmad Yahya Abul Makarim, 88 votes. The third would be Muhammad Mamdouh Abdul Aziz, 76 votes. Moving on to scientific and technological activities. The first would be Maha Talat Sharif, 242 votes. Secondly would be Ahmad Muhammad Al-Zigani, 229 votes. Third would be Fad Ihab Lam'i, 174 votes. Moving on to sports. First would be Mahmoud Ibrahim Dawood, 243 votes. Secondly, Mustafa Abdul Fattah Ramadan, 237 votes. Thirdly would be Muhammad Ibrahim Ashraf, 210 votes. Moving on to tips and social activities. Firstly would be Nuruddin Mahir Abdul Hamid, 132 votes. Secondly would be Muhammad Khalid Naeem, 99 votes. Thirdly would be Hazem Muhammad El-Ahwani, 94 votes. Moving on to the Senates of IET. The first Senate would be Minna Ahmad Al-Shurbagi, 217 votes. The second Senate would be Muhammad Abul Khair Ahmad, 166 votes. Moving on to the faculty president of IET. It has been intense in IET. The votes that the three candidates of IET acquired were 118, 115, 111. And the president of IET would be Sharif Salahuddin Badawi, 118 votes. Moving on to the Faculty of Management Technology. We start by Culture, Arts and Political Awareness. The first candidate would be Alia Muhammad Salah, 284 votes. The second candidate would be Ahmad Muhammad Hassanin, 240 votes. Thirdly would be Mark Michael Agaibi, 163 votes. Moving on to Planning and Resources. First would be Yahya Magdi Basha, 484 votes. Secondly would be Sarah Adel Fahmi, 447 votes. Thirdly would be Aya Abdul Nasser Muhammad, 299 votes. Moving on to Public and Environmental Services. The first would be Nada Ahmad Hassan, 526 votes. The second would be Dunya Ashraf Yassin, 205 votes. Moving on to the Committee of Scientific and Technological Activities, the only winner would be Farida Osama Al-Aghouri, and she was the only one that applied in this committee, so automatically she is a member in the Committee of Scientific and Technological Activities and Management. Moving on to sports, the first would be Noor Adel Al-Ma'ayirdi, 372 votes. Secondly would be Karim Muhammad Hassanin, 317 votes. Third would be Maha Muhammad Abdul Fattah, 317 votes. Moving on to trips and social activities. The first would be Saifuddin Sayyid Ihab, 318 votes. I'm sorry, Saifuddin Sayyid Ainab, 318 votes. Secondly would be Muhammad Abdul Fattah, 221 votes. Third would be May Hisham Abdul Shakur, 173 votes. Moving on to the Senate of the Faculty of Management Technology. The first Senate would be Nadim Muhammad Ashraf Kassam, 538 votes. The second Senate would be Omar Hisham Taha, 535 votes. Moving on to the Faculty Treasurer of Management Technology. Nadine Muhammad Samir, 414 votes. Last but not least, the President of the Faculty of Management, Ahmad Mahmoud Al-Daoud, 401 votes. Moving on to the Faculty of MET. First, we start by Culture, Arts and Political Awareness. The first candidate would be May Muhammad Bilbisi, 193 votes. Second would be Nada Muhammad, 119 votes. Moving on to Planning and Resources. First would be Yasin Muhammad Shanawani, 174 votes. Second would be Ahmad Nader Muhammad, 170 votes. Third would be Muhammad Amr Farouk, 149 votes. Moving on to Public and Environmental Services. The first would be Muhammad Amr Shusha, 178 votes. Second would be Walid Tarek Al-Hifni, 129 votes. Moving on to Scientific and Technological Activities. The first would be Loa Muhammad Zahar, 121 votes. Second would be Muhammad Ashraf Mihani, 100 votes. Third would be Hana Midhat, 95 votes. Moving on to sports. The first would be Ahmed Ilhami Al-Shafi, 167 votes. Second would be Khalid Muhammad Aiz, 140 votes. Moving on to tips and social activities. The first would be Dina Muhammad Mutlaq, 122 votes. Second would be Tarek Mustafa Al-Sharif, 92 votes. Third would be Ramiz Ahmed Al-Barudi, 90 votes. The Senate of the Faculty of MAT would be Omar Ashraf Al-Hariri. And the Treasurer would be Salman Karim Al-Dash. Last but not least, it was pretty intense in the Faculty of MAT. The votes of the presidents were 95, 88, 72, and 69. I'd like to announce the president of MAT, Muhammad Hadi Shahabuddin Mutta, 95 votes. We move on to the last faculty, pharmacy and biotechnology. The first committee would be culture, arts and political awareness. The first candidate is Muhammad Khad Al-Zuhbi, 911 votes. Second would be Isra Abdul Karim Muhammad, 851 votes. Third would be Peter Samir Halim, 616 votes. We move on to planning and resources. First would be Mirna Ashraf Abdul Malik, 830 votes. Second would be Mahmoud Magdi Mnesi, 659 votes. Third would be Omar Ibrahim Ali, 615 votes. We move on to public and environmental services. Yara Kamal Radwan, 900 votes. Secondly would be Noor Khalid Al-Baz, 746 votes. Third would be Nada Ala Shaheen, 616 votes. Moving on to scientific and technological activities. First would be Muhammad Ahmad Al-Taib, 849 votes. Second would be Yusuf Hisham Saeed, 749 votes. Third would be Ahmad Muhammad Abul Az, 724 votes. Moving on to sports. First would be Mustafa Ahmad Al-Brullusi, 808 votes. Second would be Mina Bkhit Aziz, 748 votes. Third would be Mustafa Taha Saeed, 653 votes. Moving on to tips and social activities. The first candidate would be Muhammad Abdul Aziz Al-Maraghi, 659 votes. Second would be Salma Mahfouz Amin, 652 votes. Third would be Yara Midhat Sadiq, 616 votes. We move on to the Senate of the Faculty of Pharmacy and Biotechnology. First would be Ahmed Samir Al-Sayyid, 751 votes. Second would be Ahmed Abdul Ati Muhammad, 588 votes. The Treasurer Abdurrahman Nagi Abbas, 792 votes. last but not least, the President of the Faculty of Pharmacy and Biotechnology is Mina Tarek Aisha, 566 votes. Before we move on to the Presidential Cabinet, I'd like to give a small note that the re-election of the Faculty of Applied Arts and Sciences would be the next week. Secondly, I'd like to call the Presidential Cabinet representatives here on stage. Please join me. We, the SU organizing team, believed in one cause. We were imagining the day that we all would be standing here between the two presidential cabinet representatives. Today is the day that we finally see our cause through. Today is what every one of us in the organizing team has been trying, has been working hard to do. Today is when everything we believed in is fulfilled. I'd like to welcome both candidates. I'd like to thank you for the phenomenal agendas, for the phenomenal program, for everything. And I hold the winner, the responsibility to see the cause of each and every student in the GEC. One of you will represent each and every student in the GEC, and you should be worth it. The votes we received are around 4,000 votes. And the winner of the GUC SU 2014 Presidential Cabinet we can all excuse them because they've been working for 5 weeks. Okay? So the winner of the GUC SU 2014 presidency is Hisham Walid Al-Afra by 73% of the vote. I repeat, by 73% of the vote. I'd like to thank you, Tarek, because you've been a wonderful competitor, because you had a wonderful agenda, and I wish you best of luck. Thank you very much. So we can't mention Hisham and ignore the members of the presidential cabinet. I'd like to introduce the members of the Ashram cabinet. First, I'd like to start by Muhammad Brolosi, Vice President. Secondly, Iman Debeki, Vice President of Planning and Resources. Third, Mashali, Vice President of Events and Activities. Fourth would be Ahmed El Garki, the Treasurer of the GUC SU 2014.
ازيكم؟ عايز اقول لكم بس كلمه سريعه جدا. اللي احنا فيه دلوقتي ده كنا في 2011 هو ده الحلم الحقيقي. احنا كنا في 2011 SU 2011 هو اللي خد الخطوه الحقيقيه لده. كلنا واحنا بنتحرك كان بالنسبه لنا كان الناس الانترستد في العمليه كلها والاسم كله بيتحطوا على الصوابع. لكن دلوقتي لما نوصل ل 4000 بني ادم واقف وبيدافع عن اتحاد الطلبه وبيدافع عن هيز فويس. فاحنا دلوقتي في التاريخ، دي اول خطوه تاريخيه بتحصل جوه الجامعه، ده اول اتحاد طلبه كبير الكتف وافكتيف ان شاء الله. احب اشكركم كلكم على مشاركتكم دي، واحب اقول لكم في الاخر ان وي جيم باور تو امباور. شكرا. انا اسف جدا يا جماعه، والله انا عشت مع الناس دي اسابيع بتعبهم واسابيع وهم سهرانين. عشت لغايه الساعه 5 الصبح من كام يوم. الناس دي تعبوا بجد. كل واحد فيهم فعلا يستحق الشكر. هم اول خطوه في الاتحاد ده، وهم اول خطوه ان شاء الله الاتحادات اللي جايه والنجاح اللي جاي ان شاء الله.
اخر حاجه حابب اقولها، احنا نزلنا مش عشان اي حاجه غير ان احنا كل واحد فينا شاف. احنا نزلنا، احنا كل واحد فينا نزل لسبب واحد، ان احنا شايفين ان كل واحد فينا لو عمل فرق صغير في الاخر هيبقى فيه فرق كبير كلنا نشوفه. في الاخر الجامعه دي مش هتبقى كويسه لينا، مش هتبقى كويسه للناس دي، هتبقى كويسه لينا كلنا. انا مش بمثل نفسي، انا بمثل اكتر من 100 واحد تعبوا، وهم من غيرهم محدش فينا كان هيبقى حاجه. برضو محمد حجازي ومحمد حسني لظروف ما عرفوش يبقوا معانا النهارده. الناس دي هي اللي فعلا كانت المفروض تبقى موجوده هنا، هي الناس دي اللي فعلا المفروض تعمل، هي دي الناس اللي فعلا كانت عايزه تشوف حاجه في الجامعه. I'd like to thank everyone. I'd like to thank Sarah Shawi. I'd like to thank Saif Alab. I'd like to thank Radwan. Our heads, we could have done it without you. Thank you very much. Umay? والله that's كويسين. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the candidates. Hisham, Zayad, thank you very much. We hold you responsible. Hisham, candidates of the GEC SU 2014, please step up on the stage. الناس الwinners of the GEC SU 4 elections يا ريت step up كل الفاكولتي. يا جماعه الناس اللي كسبت انتخابات اتحاد الطلبه يا ريت تتفضلوا على الستيج المسرح يعني. يا جماعه الناس اللي كسبت في اتحاد الطلبه يا ريت يتفضلوا على الستيج. يعني اللي كسب في فارماسي يتفضل، اي ناس يتفضل، ام تي يتفضل. Could you all? جماعة احنا مبسوطين دلوقتي، بس اخر السنة دي هنشوف حاجة تتغير، تمام؟ بص